Hey fellow trainers, you may not know me, but my name's Wildchew, and I've been grinding Pokémon Unite since day one of launch. Today, I'm bringing you my early impressions of the brand new Sky Ruins map featuring Groudon. Now, I'll be honest, I only have a little over a dozen games played on this map. However, as someone who loves to deeply analyze things, I already have a couple of observations that I would like to share with you. To get us started, let me begin by pointing out how Sky Ruins is now absolutely packed with wild Pokémon to farm. There's the Nadu, the additional bunnies, Regidrago, and what does that mean for you? Well, it means that the games are going to have non-stop action, and Pokemon that are strong early in the game are going to be absolutely terrifying to face. Here's the thing, with all the extra farm available, I think Snowballing is going to be exceptionally common. What's Snowballing, you ask? Well, it's when you get ahead early in the game and then use that advantage to never allow your opponent to catch up. Think about it this way, if you're already stronger than your opponent and there's tons of farm everywhere, you can level up even faster and get 2 to 3 levels ahead of them. Once you're that far ahead, it becomes really hard for them to catch up. So, which Pokemon benefit the most from this? Well, I'll wait a moment. Alright. Ding! They're speedsters! Pokemon like Absol, Talon, Dojo, and other speedsters that can farm quickly will take advantage of all the excessive farm and get way ahead. Obviously, things like Ceruledge, Greninja, Scyther, and other hybrid high mobility Pokemon that can farm fast and score easily count as well. I also want to give an honorable mention to Lucario here. While not technically a speedster, Extreme Speed Lucario could be incredibly strong because of its ability to reset moves when hitting farm. More farm means more resets, and more resets means even more chaos. However, in contrast to the early game Pokemon, the late game Pokemon are going to start having much more trouble. At least that's what I think. For example, let's take a look at Charizard. Charizard is a Pokemon that needs to acquire its level 9 before it can have a crazy impact on the game. With its low secure as Charmander and Charmeleon, let's imagine that an Absol travels through our lane and keeps the Charizard under level 9 until the 5-minute mark. By then, most of Charizard's enemies are going to have resources to be able to deal with its Unite, therefore it'll unfortunately continue to suffer while the Absol gets exponentially stronger. My advice, start picking up speedsters in solo queue because they will be the ones dominating in this current meta. Oh wait, Groudon exists, right? Well yes, but something tells me that it is no longer the end-all be-all. You know how Rayquaza used to give you a shield that allowed you to score faster while boosting your damage? In this update, the final objective no longer gives you a shield. Instead, Groudon gives you a buff that does the same thing as Rayquaza's shield, except that it's permanent. But beware, if you are indeed knocked out, that buff goes to the opposing Pokemon's side. Taking that fact into account, it'll definitely mean that speedsters will dominate. I know I keep preaching about this, but as a recap, let's once again take a look at the 3 major advantages speedsters have on this new map. First, speedsters can get ahead early now more than ever. Second, if they win the final fight, they can get to a goal quickly thanks to their mobility. And third, they can instantly defeat enemies who acquire Groudon's buff without risk of taking too much damage, and then go score themselves. Moving on, I'd like to take a closer look at the Groudon buffs that you are given. So, when you defeat Groudon, you get this red ring around you, right? This means you're able to deal insane amounts of damage and score faster. Unlike with Rayquaza's shield, however, you are no longer unstoppable when scoring, and true damage is now negligible. Because back then, true damage used to be able to penetrate through Rayquaza's shield and stop the score. Now, however, literally any sort of damage stops the score. This means that you need to play strategically around your team, otherwise you'll be easily stopped. Your boosted damage will allow you to eliminate threats alongside your team, and then you can score all together. But what if you're on the enemy side? How do you defend against this? Well, in my opinion, any moves that deal damage over time or hit multiple enemies quickly and consistently are really good at stopping fast scores. For example, Delphox's Unite, Stealth Rock from Crustle, Pikachu's Thunder, or even Sableye Feint Attack. These moves make it really hard for enemies to score because they're constantly taking damage. This allows you to stall until your heavy hitters come in and finish them off to steal the buff away. If you don't have these, however, don't worry about it too much. Just seriously keep in mind that you can now stop scores with literally any move that deals damage, including basic attack. Now to finish up, let's take a look at Regidrago, one of the newest objectives added to the game that spawns at the 8-minute point. If your team defeats it, they will acquire a good bit of experience as well as a buff that allows all of you to score faster. It's not game breaking, but it adds another layer of gameplay to Unite, and I love that. My advice, if you're playing top lane, just stay top and focus on getting all the farm. If you're playing something like Power Up Punch Lucario, however, that provides your team with good secure, and you really should look to help out. In contrast, junglers and bottom laners should look to fight for it almost all the time, because usually farm isn't available around this time, and unless you're looking for a good score, then it's more beneficial to be able to fight for that middle objective and allow your top laner and just your whole team to get a good lead. So, what's my overall take on all these changes? Well, as someone who loves fast-paced action, which you can probably tell from my editing style, I'm really enjoying what these changes bring to the table. The developers clearly wanted to make the game more aggressive and exciting, and from my first day of observations, I really think they nailed it. Just remember though, this is all just first day speculation, so everything I've talked about could change as we all learn and adapt to the new update. This meta is going to evolve, and I'm excited to see how it develops. Anyway, thanks for sticking around for my day 1 analysis, trainers. Subscribe if you want to keep hearing from me, because in an upcoming video, I have advice for you that will make your gameplay truly stand out from the rest. Anyways, see you all later! Waddle out! Fluffy stacks upon my plate, golden rounds, they taste so great. Butter melts and syrup flows, happiness is how it shows. Morning light, the day feels new. Pancakes make my sky more blue. Every bite's a song to sing. Joy is found in everything through pancakes. Subscribe for a pancake, guys!